Jane, it's nice to see you again. I'm sorry you can't make the town board meeting tonight due to your mother's illness.
I appreciate you seeing me, Mr. Supervisor, on such short notice.
Please call me Bob. The board wants to hear from all interested citizens their views about the proposed wind development. I know you've done more research on this than most anyone else in our town, so I'm very interested in hearing what you've concluded. By the way, I'm taping this meeting, and I will pass on your comments to the board.
Thank you, and the other members of the town board, for carefully considering our views on this important community matter.
You're welcome.
My position is really very simple. First, I believe that we do have energy and environmental issues. Second, I believe that these issues should be solved by applying real science. That's it.
That seems to make sense. What do you mean by real science?
Science is not a collection of facts and equations but is a process. The core process is the scientific method. This method consists of a hypothesis being subjected to a comprehensive, objective, independent, transparent, and empirical-based assessment.
What might be the hypothesis here?
That wind energy is equivalent to our conventional power sources. No such assessment has been done for wind energy.
Really? Are you quite sure about that?
Absolutely positive.
It's hard to believe that our state would be mandating renewable energy on communities without doing a thorough scientific assessment of the merits.
You're right, it is hard to believe. But that's what happens when lobbyists run things. That's what's going on here.
That's too bad.
Yes. Let me give you a theoretical example that puts this situation into perspective.
Okay, go for it.
Let's say that some entrepreneurs step forward and present us with a black box. They claim that this black box holds part of a solution to these energy and environmental issues. Would we just say, "Great, who do we make the $1 trillion check out to?"
No, that would be really foolish.
Indeed. Thoughtful people would say something like, "Thanks for coming forward. What you say about your product sounds good. However, before we have taxpayers and utility ratepayers pay for this, we need to see scientific method, proof that your product will be an effective, cost-benefit solution."
That seems very reasonable. Are you saying that the government didn't do that?
Unfortunately, yes. Due to aggressive lobbyists pushing for their multinational conglomerate clients, none of this has been done for wind energy. Is it unreasonable to ask for genuine, scientific proof?
No, obviously not. Would you please expand on what needs to be proven?
Sure. It's actually fairly simple. Any new alternative source of energy needs to have a thorough, technical, economic and environmental assessment provided by the proponents. This way we can objectively know whether this new source is at least equal to our current sources of power or not. If they are not, then we should not be wasting citizens' resources on them. To find out more about this process, go online to EnergyPresentation.Info, where an independent scientist explains it all.
It certainly stands to reason that taxpayers and utility ratepayers shouldn't be burdened by paying for unproven products.
Obviously. And make sure to notice that it is not for citizens like me to disprove their product, but rather is entirely up to the proponents to provide the proper proof. That's how real science works. And at this point the government hasn't asked them for any proof, so, not surprisingly, they haven't provided any.
That's amazing.
And disturbing.
As a local landowner, I can tell you that I was approached by the wind developer to see if I was interested in signing a lease for some turbines.
That is the wind developer's normal tactic, to get key people on their payroll. What did they tell you about the merits of wind energy?
Their agent said that there were some reports by scientists saying that wind power was a good thing.
Do you have any science background?
Not really.
That's what they are counting on. The important thing to know is that there is a big difference between a report by a scientist and a scientific report.
Sorry, I don't understand. What is the difference?
Scientists are just like other people and some do things that are wrong. Unfortunately, there are thousands of them that, for a variety of reasons, are promoting self-serving agendas rather than real science.
That's too bad.
Yes, it is, but that's life. There's a simple way to see if a report is legitimate, and that is to see if it follows the scientific method.
Okay, that's good to know.
To date, there is no pro-wind report that has been burdened by the scientific method. For example, one frequent deviation is not to use real-world data. And with some 100,000 wind turbines on the planet, there is plenty of data.
Well, you'd certainly think so. What do they use instead?
They use carefully rigged computer models to supposedly prove their contentions. This is a flagrant violation of real scientific standards, and it needs to be strenuously objected to.
Everything you say makes good sense, and I've learned a lot in 5 minutes. But what about the tax money that will come to the town? We really need that money.
Okay, just so we are clear here, are you saying that it makes no difference whether or not something really works, as long as we make a few bucks on it, we will look the other way? Do you think that's right?
When you put it that way, I suppose not.
Good, I'm glad that we agree. No matter how much we may be getting paid, it makes no sense to take it for things that don't work. We want real scientific proof before we proceed. Please turn down this project until real scientific evidence is provided that wind energy is a technical, economic, and environmental equivalent to our conventional sources of power.
Thank you for your very reasoned comments. I'll pass them on.
Thank you. Could you also do me a favor?
Sure. What?
My friend, Dick, will be at the meeting tonight. Please tell him I'm sorry that I couldn't make it. And tell him I came across another interesting Winston Churchill quote. A pessimist sees the difficulty in every opportunity. An optimist sees the opportunity in every difficulty.